Well, hi again. It's me, Rebecca, here on the Learn Flute Podcast. This is episode 19.
You can do it, and Rebecca will show you how, step by step, all along the way. Introducing the Learn Flute Podcast.
Well, welcome today for this episode number 19 of the Learn Flute Podcast, where I, Rebecca Fuller, am here to help you through your journey of learning how to play the flute. Now, on this podcast, I give you hints and tips and tons of flutey ideas and other education that makes it fun and interesting. Now, many of you listeners are probably here because you're having tons of fun on this quest to make your hobby of playing the flute a really great experience and something you can enjoy forever. Now, I'm excited for that because it's also something that I am passionate about. I'd also like to give you a quick reminder that the video lessons and awesome courses that go along with this podcast are on the website learnfluteonline.com, where you'll find the motherlode of all online flute lessons. At the time of recording this podcast, I saw the count on my video hosting company of over 800 learning videos. Yes, I know that might sound a little more overwhelming than fun, but I assure you that I have the perfect method to my online learning programs, and all of the lessons are set in perfect learning order. The lessons build upon themselves, so you can really learn how to be a great flute player and have something to share forever. Now, today's subject is something that I'm positive you've run across while you've been practicing and discovering your instrument, and that is, why is the low C so hard to play on the flute? Well, I have a couple of different ideas to explore with you right now that will help clear up why that low C is such a troublemaker on the flute compared to many of the other notes. And the first thing we need to talk about is the actual shape your instrument is in. Now, you may think your flute is in pristine condition because it's all shiny and new looking, but in reality, if your lowest notes are so hard to get out, there's a good chance that there's a slight issue in your mechanism that needs to be cleared up before you'll be able to pop out that low note easily. Now, one thing that made me think about this subject is that a couple of weeks ago, 2 of my students got new flutes. Yay, I love new flutes. Well, anyway, the first thing that both students noticed as they were, quote, trying on new flutes was that the low D and C were so big and bold and easy to get out compared to the flutes that they were used to playing on a day-to-day basis. Now, is this because the new flutes were new? Well, partly, but the biggest difference was that these new flutes had been seen and combed through very thoroughly by a very good flute technician before they were sent to my studio. So what I'm trying to say is that flutes in really great condition play really well, especially on those lowest notes. It's very noticeable. Brand new flutes oftentimes arrive in super great shape, but this isn't always true. Many lower-end flutes were built in a factory, and as hard as these factories try, the instruments don't always come out perfect. So if you do have a new flute, and you are a seasoned enough player that your low C should be popping out clear as a bell right when you want it to, but it's not, then you know that your flute probably needs to be seen by a really good technician. It's sometimes difficult to find a good repairman who really knows their stuff. And I don't want to affiliate myself with any one person right here on this podcast, but if you live in a developed country, you should be able to do some homework and get it taken care of in a relatively short amount of time. Now, that being said, I will caution you not to take your flute to a local band teacher. That's a mistake that will cost you your tone and probably in 95% of the cases. Now, I'm a pretty picky flute teacher, and I want my students to sound really, really great. And I'm sure that you would agree that the ability to play without being hampered by the condition of your instrument is kind of common sense, right? Okay, well, let's next talk quickly about the other reason that the low C just doesn't like to pop out as clearly and as quickly as it should. Probably you've heard this before, but I'll let you know that the direction your air is being blown and the shape of your aperture, which is that little area including the hole in your lips, is key to being able to get and keep a low note nice and full. Picture these two images right now. a pull-down spotlight lamp, like the kind my Grandma Van used while she was sitting in her rocking chair while knitting. She would sit down and then she would reach up and pull the lamp down so that it shone directly on her lap so that she could really see what she was making. And now the other item I want you to visualize is a football, an American football, a brown oblong football. Now, not any football, but I want you to picture a football, an American football, that has been sitting in the yard too long and has lost some air. We've had some of those around here, I know, because I have boys for kids. They get kind of squashed looking. There, now you have the visuals you need to understand the next concept. The higher notes on a flute are played with a really small spotlight-shaped aperture that can bend and direct light on a downward angle depending on exactly where it needs to be. The lower the notes are, the more flat and squashed your aperture needs to be, like the shape of that football that's lost some air. Now, if you can learn to close your lip hole and keep the direction of your air coming straight out, then you have a much better recipe for getting that lowest C out clearly. Now, of course, there are always a few other pieces to the puzzle, but for today, this will give you something to bend your mind around. And of course, you can always come on over to the LearnFluteOnline.com website and get yourself signed up for the lessons and module courses so you too can feel confident and happy about your flute playing abilities. You can come re-listen to this episode on the podcast page under the menu bar titled Bonus Flute Lesson Content. I really hope that you're enjoying this podcast series because I enjoy making them for you. Have a fabulous day. I will see you next time.
Thanks for listening today. Remember that this is where people of all ages, such as you, can come, learn, and play the musical instrument flute in an easy-to-follow, organized manner, and in the privacy and comfort of your own home, on your own schedule.